Writing for IELTS. Hi there, my name is Ben Worthington. In this tutorial, we're going to look at two body paragraphs answering the same question, a recent IELTS Task 2 question seen on a real exam. And we're going to look at two different paragraphs, basically saying the same thing. One is around a band 6, the other is probably a band 9. We're going to look specifically at the style of writing, because in the second paragraph we use academic English, or English for academic purposes, EAP. But more importantly, we adapt EAP for IELTS, because when we're writing for IELTS, it's slightly different, because academic English, we can use quotes, we can say Smith et al. Argued, whatever, we can draw on the data, and we've probably obviously got more time to write the essay, and plus we're pulling from real factual resources, whereas writing for IELTS is but it is a different beast. We do have to adapt our writing. So the first step would be to transform our normal everyday writing into academic English, and then modify it for IELTS, or if you want, just go direct, which is what I'm going to show you how to do in this video. So let's jump straight into it. So the first thing you're going to do when you're writing for IELTS is you're going to be writing with a specific task. You're going to be answering a specific task that's put in front of you, the question, or a chart. You're going to be describing a chart, or you're going to be writing a letter. So in this specific example, we're focusing obviously on task 2, as you could probably see from this question. So the first part, what we do is we look at the question, and then we're going to sort of like plan as to what we're going to allocate or dedicate each paragraph to. So in my online course, I go into this in much more detail, because it's a very important stage, because if you mess this part up, you're going to mess up the rest of the essay. Okay? So just be very careful at this point. Now, when we're analysing the question, what I like to do is allocate a paragraph for each part of the specific task. In this case, we have the famous question, discuss both views and give your opinion. So both views means 2, so I'm going to put a paragraph, or I'll allocate a paragraph for viewpoint A, which in this case is the first part of the question, and for paragraph 2 is the second part of the question. Now, let's jump into it. If you want, why don't you do the same and plan an essay now, or plan a paragraph of what you could write regarding this question. If you're doing that, fantastic, pause the video. If not, no worries, you can do it again afterwards. So let's have a look at the first paragraph. This is the poor essay. Okay, this is the bad one. Have a look at it and tell me, why do you think this is bad? Now, just a word of warning, I tried to make it coherent. I don't think there's many grammar mistakes. If there are very, very few, because I wanted you to focus on the style of the writing rather than the grammar, because that's what's important when we're writing for IELTS. Obviously the grammar is the stuff, but in this video we're going to look at the style, the academic style that I am teaching you now. So the main focus is going to be more on the lexical resource and the grammatical range and accuracy, more so than the actual coherence. The coherence is good and the task response is good. This way we can focus on writing, on the style that is requested of you, that is required of you. Now, let's jump in and analyse this paragraph. What we're going to do actually is analyse it sentence by sentence. So this is the bad one. Now let's have a look at the good one. Immediately you can see it's longer. Okay, so that's what we're going to get more points because there's more opportunity for showing the examiner that we've got a wide grammatical range. And secondly, the more words we write, the more chance that we're going to score high for lexical resource. Bearing in mind that these words will be grammatically accurate, okay, and coherent, of course. So we've got body paragraph 1, which is poor, grammatically sound, but it's poor, as I'm going to describe in more detail in a second. And then the second body paragraph. Just as an overall viewpoint, we can see here there's lots of repetition of certain terms. The vocabulary is quite poor. We've got contractions, and there's plus there's certain wide generalizations and a few sexist comments which are not very appropriate, at all. Now, I'll go into more detail now, and you'll see the better way to write. So let's jump into the first sentence. First of all, lots of girls have done a lot in society over the years. First of all, we've used girls, which is demeaning, because the question asks about women in society and women in jobs. Just to call them girls is demeaning. So immediately we're off to a very bad start. Secondly, I hope you can spot this, have done a lot, okay? All of that sentence you probably learnt how to say the first year or the second year of when you were learning English. A lot, a few, many. So it's not very advanced, is it? Secondly, we've got have and done, two verbs that we definitely learnt the first year of our English language journey. So once again, it's basic vocabulary. Also, you can see the sentence is quite short. There's nothing wrong with short sentences, but if we fill the essay with short sentences, it's definitely bad, because ideally we're going to be using longer, more complex sentences with clauses in. So let's move on. Women in society are very necessary. Once again, that's quite basic. Next, because without them jobs can't get done. Once again, we're using very, very basic vocabulary, basic verbs and basic structures. So they're very important. That sounds okay, but it's wrong. It should be they are very important. So I think that's the only grammar mistake in the whole paragraph. Now, if we look at the good version, the high scoring version, countless women. Doesn't that sound much better, using countless instead of lots of? Also, you'll see there's no repetition in the second sentence, because if we're repeating terms, we're not going to be picking up points for lexical resource. Whereas if we manage to structure the sentence in a way that we avoid repetition, we're automatically going to be scoring higher in lexical resource, and if we do it grammatically accurately, we're going to be increasing our chance for points as well. So, countless women throughout history have served pivotal roles in the shaping of societies. Doesn't that sound so much more sophisticated than done a lot in society over the years? Okay, so we've used more tenses there. We've used better vocabulary, pivotal. Yeah, let's carry on. So women in society are very necessary. Yeah, which kind of says something similar to there, have served pivotal roles in the shaping of society. Next sentence, whether women should enjoy equal rights as men in this day and age is therefore a rather redundant question. So immediately you can see my position and you can see my claim, which I further develop this argument later on in the paragraph, in both paragraphs actually, but with different language in each paragraph. So here, if you weren't wondering what that means, I kind of said the same. Here I said, Women in society are very necessary because without them jobs can't get done, so they are very important. Okay? Here I'm just emphasizing that they are necessary. Here I'm referring to the question, so I'm reminding the examiner that I'm on topic. I've tried to use different vocabulary, but it's not always necessary. There aren't that many synonyms for women or for equal rights. Okay, we can say equality, which I do later on, but here I haven't even mentioned the question. Okay, but I have kind of referred to it, saying that they can do the same jobs because because I'm saying that they're very necessary, but still it's not explicit, so it makes it more difficult. So let's move on to the next sentence. Traditional roles like security or positions that need aggression, I think I changed this in the other one actually, anyway, always go to men, but there's no science to say women can't do the job. Okay, so there's a few errors here. It's good that I have referred to the question. Well, I haven't actually referred it to the question specifically, but it is quite clear. But I'm using contractions. We should not use contractions if we want to write in an academic style, and that goes for IELTS. Next one. Here I started with a conjunction, so I'm more likely to pick up points because I'm showing the examiner I've got the grammatical range. So although traditionally roles such as security or positions necessitating is slightly uncommon, and it's more sophisticated than using a simple structure that's saying that need aggression. Okay, have often gone to men. So this is the hedging that I was speaking about, and I go into more detail in the online course. So there is no scientific literature or precedent stating women are less capable. That sounds a million times better than there's no science to say women can't do the job. So can you see, we're saying the same thing, but one way is scoring a lot more points than the other way, and it also sounds more sophisticated. We're using more sophisticated vocabulary, better lexical resource, and also a wider range of structures. So just bear that in mind. Also, here it's okay. In the original one, I think I changed it. I was a little bit okay. Yeah. That need to hit people always go to men. All right, so that's even worse. So can you see the progression? We went from that need to hit people, that need aggression, that necessitate aggression. So there's 3 different ways of saying it, and each one is better than the other. So let's go back. Yes, I did kind of, how would you say it? I went a bit OTT, over the top there in that first paragraph, but I just wanted to demonstrate. So anyway, now, what's wrong with the next sentence? You can say girls are weaker. It's quite direct, and we don't really want to write like that. It's almost aggressive, that kind of writing. Also, we've used personal pronouns. It's like saying you boy. It's like saying you, directly you, and we don't write like that. In academic English, we're much more polite and educated, so we'd say perhaps. Okay, one could argue, females are physically weaker. So I'm not using girls because it's inappropriate. I'm not using women because we've already said it. I'm trying to show the examiner I've got a vast lexical resource, so I'm going to use females. Okay, females are physically weaker, but with modern fitness and science, the strength difference between genders can be negated considerably. Okay, now in the lower version we said with a good fitness class. So once again, you can see immediately vocabulary like good that we learnt in the first year of our English language journey. Okay, we can see that it can be substituted. What did I substitute it with? Modern fitness and science. Okay, that sounds much better than a good fitness class. Yep, the difference can be made very, very small. So we're repeating. We've got repetition. we're not going to get points for very, very small. Once again, vocabulary from our first year of English, small, big. We don't use that. It's better to say are considerable, okay? And in the good version, I say can be negated considerably. So once again, more grammar structures, better vocabulary, superior vocabulary, and also a wider range of vocabulary. Yeah. So let's move on to the next one. The examples. Examples are very important, and once again, there's this whole module about this, and you can also get feedback in the online course. Anyway, let's jump into it. For example, my sister did a class a few weeks ago and got super strong. So this super strong is like how, as I'll admit it, this is how I would talk with my friends in a bar. Okay, not if I was writing a formal academic essay. Also, it's my sister. It sounds very personal, like I'm telling them a story. And super strong is just spoken vocabulary, informal spoken vocabulary. Whereas my example, I've put, for example, in the Peruvian army. Okay, I'm using the nationality there, showing the examiner my lexical resource, and I'm saying, instead of did a class, I said, I'm talking about the elite section in the army, okay, referring back to the question again, actively promotes a ruthless endurance training program whereby female soldiers undergo brutal sports regimes. So can you see, so I'm using regime instead of class. It's less common vocabulary. So as to reach similar levels of strength as the male counterparts. How good does that sound? Okay, and counterparts as well is good vocabulary to use because it's less common and it's quite versatile. There is a good chance that you could use this in your IELTS essay. So get familiar with that term. So she's probably as strong and fit as an average male now. That's quite inaccurate because you can't really test it and there's no evidence there to back it up. It's your personal opinion, which granted the question did ask for that, but it's not the right opportunity to give your opinion, okay? Because it's not common in typical academic English to give your opinion, we should just keep that opinion to a minimum and put it somewhere else in the essay, okay? Which I'll explain in another video. So you can see it's almost twice as long. The vocabulary is considerably better. The grammar structures are considerably better as well. So moving on, we're almost finishing. So this proves that girls, once again we're using that demeaning vocabulary, can get as strong as men and do the same job. Okay, do the same job. So it's basic vocabulary. I don't need to go into more detail about this. Now compare it to the good version. Return to the question posed. It is now possible to state that women with adequate and thorough preparation, so it's coherent and referring back to this elite course that I mentioned in the previous sentence, as suitable for some positions historically held by men. So once again, there's a small tacit reference back to what was stated in the question. I'm on topic. There's no way I'm going to lose points for task response. It's all on topic and it's very, very well written. There's no grammar mistakes. I'm using a wide range of grammar structures. I started there with a gerund, with the noun gerund, returning to the question posed. And by the way, just a quick tip, the first part of that question, this sentence, is copy paste. Okay. I whispered it because you've got to use it with caution. Returning to the question posed, it is now possible to state. Copy paste that into any essay, but you've got to make it relevant. Don't rely on phrases like that, but they are useful. So now let's go back to the poor paragraph. This proves that girls can get as strong as men and do the same jobs. get as strong, okay, with adequate and thorough preparation. There's just no comparison, okay? It's like Manchester City and Man United. Let's move on. So the final sentence, also women can do jobs men. So this is the sentence that I added on at the end as an example of incoherence, okay, because it doesn't really fit with anything that we said in the previous sentences, and it's almost like an idea that just popped into your head while you were writing, and you're going to stick it on at the end. So it's bad. Okay. Also, I think it's another sexist sentence. Also, we've got a direct question and a contraction in there. So this is not the style we want. Okay. So just to compare them next to each other, we've got this one here, and you can read it again, get a good grasp. Just this is what you're not supposed to be doing, and this is what you're aiming for. Okay, so if you want to write like this, have a look at the online course to get plenty of feedback there. It'll be beneficial, especially if you are keen to pass and IELTS is stopping you, and maybe you've taken the test a few times. Getting feedback is the fastest way to improve, the best way to improve, and also you just realize you're not alone. You've got the help and the support that you deserve. So thank you very much for watching. Leave a comment if you've got any suggestions for future videos, or if you liked the video, and yes, all the best with your IELTS preparation. Thank you.